Hey y'all, welcome back to Ryan and Robert Rants. Today we are back at you with another ta-da ranked series. Robert, what are we ranking this time?
We are going to be doing the Superman live action franchise. Anticipation in the new James Gunn Superman movie coming out in July. So we are going to be doing pretty much only the Superman movies. So we eliminated Batman, BVS, and Justice League. So we're going to be doing Superman from the 1978 version, Superman 2, Superman 3, Superman 4, Superman Returns, and then Man of Steel. And then, of course, after this, and once we finish watching the James Gunn, we will add it to this like we did with the Mission Impossible franchise, like the Final Reckoning.
Yes. Thank you for that, Robert. Like you said, we are ranking them in order. Yes, we just felt that BVS and Justice League, that was too
Not really a
much to lift through.
Superman solo movie, like
Yeah,
yeah,
we need
yeah,
Superman centric for this.
yes,
So, maybe eventually we'll do something like that. I don't know. That'll probably be a very long time.
maybe.
But yeah, so today we're gonna be talking about Superman the movie, starting off the one that started it all. So
Yep.
just like we've done before, like Robert mentioned with Mission Impossible, which definitely check that out. We're gonna be ranking them, but first we're gonna go over the first movie, just purely in this one. Um, this movie has been out for a very long time, but also, there's a lot of people who aren't really into superhero movies and don't really know where to start. So if this is your first time hearing about Superman the movie, spoiler alert, we're gonna spoil everything. We're gonna be cutting it up. And turn back now if you haven't seen it and you plan on having that viewing experience spoiler free. You have been warned. All right. So, Robert, did you want to go ahead and jump right in? Just give like a brief summary of the movie.
Yeah, I wanted to say like to start it off about how you said this movie was old. So this movie came out, I believe, on the 40th year anniversary of Action Comics #1. That issue came out in 1938. Famous issue, first appearance of Superman. This movie came out in 1978. So between from 1938 and 1978 is actually a much shorter. It's a shorter time between 1978 and now. So
Yeah, because what is
let
that?
let that like
7, 8,
yeah,
9, 10,
yeah.
11, 12,
It's almost 50
50
years.
years.
Yeah. Let that sink in.
Jeez.
Let that sink in. I
God.
was like, oh, yeah, I was doing the math, or I didn't. It's not this basic math, right? But I was just thinking about it. I was like, because you look at the time period between 1938 and 1978, it's just like you just never. I bet you the people in 1978, because again, this movie was, I think, the most expensive movie at the time. I mean, they even said that the opening credits cost more than some movies for this movie. So it's like,
I honestly believe it.
yeah. And on that note, we'll start. So the movie begins, with the opening credit scene of an amazing John Williams score. This coming out in 1978. I'm going to be making a lot of parallels between the movies, the music in this movie, and his score from Star Wars.
Okay.
I don't know if you've caught it, but it's very similar. And again, I mean, year apart, same composer. But
Yeah.
I mean, if you go back and listen to the opening credits of his music, it's like it's just it's just a loud, like, brass
The
heavy orchestra.
horns.
Yeah,
The
and then it kind of
horns.
like mellows out into like these soft melodies.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, so it's pretty similar to the Star Wars theme song. And I was just like, but it's he might have just been like having a style right at the time. Like a lot of artists or musicians kind of go through like phases of whatever. So it
Yeah.
is, it's whatever. But I just when I was watching the opening credits, I was like, this sounds like Star Wars to me. I don't know, yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah,
no. I do agree with you on that. Like there's moments where I'm like, wait, hold on.
yeah,
I'm like, hold on. Like first and foremost, like you said, John Williams. Dude,
hmm
this score, I I've seen this movie a couple of times. This wasn't really a big movie for me growing up. For me, that was Batman. Michael
Yeah,
Keaton
we
Batman.
the Tim Burton
Like,
one, yeah.
yeah, that one was my superhero movie. I watched that movie like religiously. So
Yeah.
when I got older, then I got more into this one when I was, like in like teenager and stuff like that. But this last time when we were watching it for this, I was really paying attention that time, and just like every other movie that John Williams has scored, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and this is something that you can compare to modern films, is that the music was almost like another character
Yes.
with the story. Like it's like that underlying thing with the story, but it accentuates the moments.
Yep.
Like when there's danger, you feel the danger. When there's hope, you feel the hope. When there's romance, you feel the romance. When it's like that call to adventure, that action adventure feel, you feel it in this movie. You feel it in Star Wars. You feel it in Indiana Jones. You feel it in Harry Potter.
Yes.
And that's something that is lost nowadays. There's some composers. There's a couple of composers who I think come pretty close to it now. And like I said, I want to emphasize come close,
Yeah.
but I don't think a lot can capture like a John Williams or a Jerry Goldsmith or one of my favorite composers who I miss so much, James Horner.
Mhm.
Dude, that's the reason why I like that. And hot take for a lot of people, the remake of The Magnificent Seven. I remember seeing it in theaters and I was like, God, why do I feel like so like engaged by this movie? And then I was like, oh, because freaking James Horner did the score. Like he did that. Like one of my favorite movies, The Mask of Zorro. He did the music for that. Titanic. Like
Yeah.
he Land Before Time. He has done so many scores. So like I hold him in that category when we talk about a score like this for this movie. Like it's the spirit of the movie,
Yeah.
and you don't
It
you don't get that nowadays.
yeah, for sure, like, everyone you just named would be, like, on the Mount Rushmore of, like, composers, like, you could probably throw Hans Zimmer up there,
Oh
but,
yeah,
like
Alan Silvestri, like Danny
yeah,
Elfman has even earned
yeah,
his
I
place
mean
too. Like it's
exactly. It's there's just I mean, I wouldn't say it's, like, a lost art, but I definitely think, amongst the average moviegoer, it's probably the music, largely goes underappreciated. I'm not saying that's for everyone, right? Because, but I think just if you're just sitting down and watching a movie, you're just kind of like engaging everything that you're seeing, but not what you're like hearing.
yeah,
And then again, that's why I like this like sound mixing, or like in this case for the music. I wanted to touch upon that when we started it because I mean the John Williams score just hits you right off the bat because like you're watching
yeah,
some great credits. Like I don't know how like I said, they said that the credits for this movie cost more than the budgets of some movies that was being produced at the time. So you're like watching these credits of like the text coming like in and then out, and it's just like they put a lot of work because they really wanted to hit you with that the visually, and they wanted to hit you like from audio perspective.
yeah. And you know how
So
long those credits are? I timed it.
super long.
It's
Yeah, I
almost
figured you
4 minutes.
did. Yeah,
Almost 4 minutes long of credits.
yeah, because I mean,
And you
they
get
literally
all
did the zoom in, zoom out on like every like thing. It wasn't just, oh, we're just gonna
yeah.
do the top build cast and then everything. No, everything.
And it's just to roll it back a little bit too on what you had said. Thank you for bringing that up about the score because it needs to be talked about. It needs to be talked about. I like the opening with what you had said at the beginning about the Action Comics, that they open to, someone
Oh yeah,
opening an Action Comics book. It's the voiceover of a child talking about the city of Metropolis and comparing it to the Great Depression, and then talking about the Daily Bugle, which something
Planet.
you talked about the score. There's something else that I have to talk about in this that I was like, it made me so happy to see. And again, a thing that I'm a big supporter on of what we need to bring back into modern movies.
I think I know where this is
Miniatures.
going. I was about to say, I think I know where this is going.
Miniatures, man. Like just
Yeah,
that opening with the Daily Bugle miniature, it looks so good.
Planet, Daily Planet.
Yeah, and it's just, going like that, and then you just pan up to the sky, and then boom, credits for the next 4 minutes. And man, Richard Donner, dude.
Yeah.
Richard Donner. I was thinking, so we had talked about wanting to do this, and then I kept seeing it, I was like, I eventually want to do the Lethal Weapon series. Because, dude, I freaking love the Lethal Weapon series. Like one of
Totally,
my
totally, vastly different like movies too.
Yeah, vastly different, but it has his style. Like it has
Mhm.
like when you're watching a Richard Donner movie. Like when you're watching one. Dude, the craziest thing about this movie too. Let's talk about the cast.
Yes,
Marlon Brando, top build.
yeah, and I think he's in it for like I don't even know like how what like 12 minutes? You think 15, if that,
If
if
that,
that, right? Yeah,
if that.
yeah. I read
Like
that he was only I think he only was on set or whatever for like 11 days or 10. He had it in his contract where he was only going to be like he only had like 11, 12 days to shoot. Like that was it.
yeah, like but he does what he does, it's Brando.
Yeah.
Like if you've ever seen a Brando movie, that's the thing he does. He just comes in, he does his like he literally does whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Like this, The Godfather, Apocalypse Now,
Yeah, this movie made him, I think, the highest paid actor at the time.
Gene Hackman's second
Second
build.
bill, yeah. Who doesn't show up into the movie until like an hour and like 10 minutes in or something like that.
Yeah. And then we finally get a Richard Donner film,
Yep.
Superman title and logo, then Christopher Reeve's
Chris Reeves,
third
yeah.
build.
Yep.
The star of the movie is third build in the
Yep. The title
movie.
character.
But yeah, like you said, we wanted to when we talked about this one, we wanted to break it into segments. So I guess the first would be talking about Krypton.
Yeah. Or as Marlon Brando calls it, Krypton, which was
Yes,
so irritating. Which was so
Krypton,
irritating. Krypton.
Krypton, Krypton.
Um,
It's the way he says it too. Krypton.
yeah. And like and this was kind of during a time because again, this is like one of the highest production budgets on a film, but you can really see that they had plans for sequels, and it because it starts with um, what like the council like a court type scene with Zod and his lackeys getting sentenced or whatever, and
Yeah.
Jor-El played by Brando was the one kind of leading that thing, and I do like how the I'm gonna keep calling it Krypton until we leave, but the Krypton uh, the Krypton Council. What I thought it was like, I don't know if this is actually like accurate, but you just see like these floating heads in the background, and I remember like looking, and
Guilty.
this is primarily done in like Marvel comics by Jack Kirby. He was like he was I wouldn't I don't want to use the word notorious because I mean they're great covers and they're iconic covers, but he would always just put like floating heads on the cover just to like indicate who's in this comic book issue. So you might have like a cover of like a character like, oh, it's it could be just like a new character like Silver Surfer just on the cover, but we're gonna put like Galactus's head here and other character heads here. It's just like, hey, they're also in this book, but here's the focus. And I know Jack
Oh,
Kirby went to go work for DC in the '70s, so I'm kind of wondering if it was like an homage or whatever, or like a throwback to like, hey, this is a legend in the comic book, even at that time. So I just thought I just looked at it and I'm like, that's very reminiscent of a Marvel cover, even though this is DC. I don't know if DC did much of the floating head like motif on
yeah.
comic covers, but I know Marvel they did it a lot, especially like in their Avengers book. So I just saw it and I was like, oh, I don't know if that's true, but it just reminded me of like old Jack Kirby covers.
Maybe. I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, give,
Yeah,
a little nod to,
a legend.
comics, yeah, and the
Yeah,
legend himself too.
right.
But yeah. Speaking of the Red Sun, dude, in Krypton,
Krypton.
it still holds up. I think it looks good, especially for miniatures.
Yeah,
Like It looks great. I will say this: you brought up Zod. Young Terrence Stamp just feels wrong. Not bad. I'm just
Yeah.
used to old man Terrence
Yeah, yeah.
Stamp.
Just
You know
just
what
he's
I mean?
basically stayed the same for 50 years.
Exactly. Like I think
Yeah.
like yes man Terrence Stamp.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, like you said, Zod's on trial. He has his line, "You will bow down before."
Yep.
And those hula hoops look cool. Just a little.
Right. My thing is just like, man, if they didn't banish him to the Phantom Zone, I mean, Krypton explodes, right? So problem solved, no sequel. If all you got to do is just not banish him to the Phantom Zone, and you know,
Speaking of when they do get banished to the zone, I love it. Forgive me, forgive me.
no, you should have thought of that.
But like you were saying, the council, the aluminum foil suits.
Dude, I actually liked that effect. Uh, so I read how it was made. Let me see where I got it. Uh,
It's the
so
same thing that
it's
they use for the lightsabers on Star Wars, right?
I think so. Yeah, it says it was achieved by sewing tiny glass beads into the fabric, and these beads would act. It was kind of similar to like highway signs to be like reflective, so it would reflect the light back in the direction it came from. So I like. I mean, again, it's practical, right? This is an age where
Yeah.
the CGI doesn't like like look. I think the Green Lantern movie could have used this
Oh
technology.
God.
Like I I like the concept of a glowing green suit, whatever, but man, like you could have just done it practically, right? It
Oh
probably would have been
yeah.
cheaper. But like I mean I liked it
Uh,
personally. The glow not the Green Lantern
yeah,
suit,
yeah, I was like,
the glowing suits in this movie. I thought it was neat.
yeah, I mean, they do look cool, and like you said, especially for its time, this is
Yeah,
before CGI, which is why it looks so good because it's practical. Some
yeah,
people will say, "Oh, it's cheesy and campy," and I'm like, "Yeah, but it's real.
it's
It
real.
doesn't look like something I've seen in 17,000 other movies where it's just copy and paste now at this point. This was something that was done intentionally of we want it to look cool, otherworldly, alien, and they achieved that. And I did write a line down that Jor-El had between him and one of the other members of the council. He's like, we need to evacuate because it's going to be destroyed in 30 days. And they tell him, Jor-El, be reasonable. He says, my friend, I have never been otherwise. This madness is yours. Like that's I didn't realize like how good of a line that was. I was like, man, I want to use that on somebody. Be
I'm sure I'll
reasonable.
get to use it at work probably
Yeah.
sometime soon.
This madness is yours.
Yeah, tomorrow.
And then this is when we cut to his conversation with Laura. And I love the juxtaposition between the both of them to where he's talking about like all these great things that Cal's gonna be, that
Yeah,
Kal-El's gonna be. He'll be virtually invulnerable.
yeah,
So not completely, but
virtually.
virtually
Yeah,
invulnerable. And then, he's being very optimistic about it and hopeful while she's being very realistic and kind of pessimistic and negative about it. But I mean, I guess that's just depending on which view you're seeing it from because she is being realistic about like
she's being a mother.
yeah, they're gonna make
I
fun of
mean,
him.
yeah,
He's gonna be an outcast to them, and he's like he'll be their salvation and a
yeah.
savior, and stuff like that. But
And I
yeah,
don't
dude,
mean
this
mother like negatively, like she's the nurturing, like moms are
like
the
worry.
nurturing. Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's her son. We're sending our son off of this planet to go live on another planet while we die, and then like yeah, I mean it's totally understandable how she looks at the other side of it. Like he's like, nah, he's gonna be like this, like a beacon of hope, and he's gonna be my son, But she's just like, yeah, but my baby boy.
And it really showcases how great of an actor Brando was. And, along with his mom, Susanna York, she did really good as well, just conveying that she doesn't get that much screen time, but it's enough to convey, like you said, a mother's love
Hmm.
for their child, knowing that I won't be there for them, but I still have these worries
Yep.
that they'll have to do this and they won't have me to be there. So it's like it sets the tone for the movie. And I mean that it does segue into what we'll talk about in a little while with his life, in Smallville. But yeah, we get the destruction of Krypton from that. He gets sent off. And again, this is what I really like. The miniatures combined with the real sets and then the camera work on top of
Yeah.
that, it looks so freaking good. Like
Yeah.
so good, like so much better than anything that hot take, hot take. It looks better than the destruction in Man of Steel.
Okay. I mean,
The
yeah. I
the Man
mean,
of Steel
yeah.
one is so the Man of Steel one has good moments
Yeah.
of the
Are we talking about
destruction.
okay, just the destruction part? Okay.
Yeah, just the destruction part, the beginning
Yeah.
of the movie. Um, but it's just there's so much CGI, and then especially the Zack Snyder zoom in,
Yeah.
camera work, shaky cam thing that goes on. Like this is, I mean, they do camera rotations and a little shaky cam, but it's not like nauseating to where it's like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
I'm not gonna lie. I don't remember his Krypton blowing up in Man of Steel. I mean,
Oh,
I
don't
know it
worry,
happened because I
you
remember.
will when
Yeah,
we
yeah,
get there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember like Russell Crowe and whatever being on the planet and them just trying to give Russell Crowe more to do.
Yeah,
Eh. But like, just for the life of me, I don't remember. I mean, and in this one, it was very similar to how like the Death Star or Alderaan blew up in the original, not the remake, right? Like it's
yeah.
yeah. So I mean, but yeah, no, I mean you're right.
Like it's
Uh,
instant. And it's the same
yeah,
thing with when they die. You don't see them die. You just
yeah,
see them embracing each other, like looking up at him like he made it. And that's all you need, especially
yeah.
after a scene like that. And then, while he's jet setting off and, Krypton is
Krypton,
blowing up, he's just listening to his dad's podcast in space.
pretty much. For
It's all
what
the
3 years? I think he said right. The traveling would be for 3 years.
Yeah, he's listening to the TED Talks, and he says one of the things he says is your ability to propel yourself at almost limitless speed. So again, um,
That's setting it up
the
for
it
foreshadowing
said
for later.
yeah, but it's also setting up that he is not all powerful.
Yeah,
Like
he
there's,
does
you
have
know what I mean?
limits.
Yeah, like there are limits to his power, which I like
Yeah,
that. And then he does say each of the six galaxies you pass through contain their own individual law in space and time. So again, from a different galaxy, he's traveling
yeah.
through six,
Six.
through six in the span of 3 years.
So yeah, how fast is this ship going? Because I remember I've seen like things on the internet where it's like it takes like millions and millions of light years to go from like one point of our galaxy to another. So I'm just like, it's like, so we're definitely not exploring anything in our galaxy at any time in human history.
Yeah,
So just imagine how fast this ship is going.
yeah. It's, I mean,
I mean, I'm not like
Superman.
a theoretical, yeah, I'm not a theoretical physicist or whatever like that. So, or I'll leave that to people much smarter than me. Yep,
But yeah, and then this is when we finally get to Kansas, and we meet the Kents.
the Kents, Ma and Pa,
Ma
Jonathan
and
and
Pa.
Martha.
Why'd you say that
Martha,
name? Martha Clark Kent
I know, right? That
is
I
weird.
I didn't even know that was her middle name.
I didn't. I completely forgot about that,
Yeah,
and
I
I
wonder
was
if that
just
was
like,
made or if that's real from the comics or if that was just made for the movie just to give Clark, his name. I'm not sure. That one I don't know.
Yeah, there's also a line about it. You want to talk about foreshadowing for Jonathan Kent, where she says something about his heart, and you would figure with that line about the heart issues that seeing a child lift a truck like that and it almost falling
Yeah,
on him would induce a heart attack.
something trigger it right
at least
there.
a palpitation.
Yeah,
But yeah, like he's just like no. But
go
I
full
do really
Sanford and Son. Oh my God, that was almost a
yeah.
big one.
Every time I hear that, I think of what is it Blue Harvest? Family Guy,
Oh, I don't
the
remember. It's
first
been a
one,
while. Yeah, yeah, that is the first one. Yeah.
right? Is that I'm coming, Lucy, right? Or something like that. Um, but
Is the
yeah,
big one, Martha?
yeah, I like that whole scene. Just with the two of them, having the conversation, and she's just like, she's is basically like a dog. It's like, can we keep him? Can we keep him?
Right
And I like that she comes up with the story of like, oh, we can say he's my cousin's.
now, like orphan from like Dakota or South Dakota or something.
Yeah, she's like
Yeah.
already
Oh
coming up
man,
with the
God, yeah.
line.
No questions asked about a ship falling from space. Like, nope. This is mine now.
Yeah, I
This
want to know
this
how they
this
got the ship too.
yeah, yeah, right. This naked boy came down in a thing. She's like, nope,
Yeah.
he's mine. We're keeping him. I've already got you. See, this is what I'm saying. She she was going to kidnap a child at one point. If that kid, if Kal-El did not fall from the sky, she had a backstory all set up for a
Yeah.
kidnapping. Man, she was
Hey,
ready to
and
go.
there was no John Walsh to stop her either.
No, no, and I mean that spaceship fell from the sky, and there was no one around. Like they were on that side of the road for how long? I mean, they were able to change a flat tire, everything. No one showed up. She was ready.
Oh man. Oh man. But and this is when it cuts. Like we're 26 minutes into the movie already,
Yes,
and it just fast forwards immediately to high school years.
yes.
It's not even like a flash or like a 26 years or 26
Nah,
years.
it just
It's not
boom.
like 18 years later.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's like immediately cuts to a football game commencing or practice, I should say. And
yeah.
I completely forgot that Jeff East plays young Clark. Completely forgot that.
And they also had in the it's weird because he also like technically doesn't have any lines because they dubbed over it. Like Christopher Reeves was the one that dubbed over all of his lines to make
Did he
it.
really?
Yeah,
Oh, that yes, yes.
so to make
Uh,
like and they added prosthetics to make him look a little bit more like
oh, dude, and
and
you
then
can
yeah,
tell
yeah, yeah,
the chin.
yeah, and it's just like I was like, man, I kind of felt bad for him.
Yeah, as long as he got paid, right? As
I
long as he
mean,
got
yeah, I hope so.
paid. Hey, this is when we get our first introduction to Lana too.
Lana Lang, and she's gone.
Hmm. Yep, and she's gone for
Yeah,
now.
right.
That football kick though that he does look great.
Yeah, fired it out of a can. But see, here's the thing: like, if he really kicked the football, that thing would probably explode, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, hands
Right,
down.
100. Yeah, exactly.
Hands down.
I'm sure they tested it like on, like MythBusters or something
Oh,
at
they
some
had
point.
to have. They had to have.
Like,
I do like the train run. I don't
yeah,
know. I like how janky it looks when he's running,
yeah.
especially his facial expression. So
I will say that scene is a little. I wouldn't say that aged well, right? Because I mean,
yeah,
but it's always hard to do running, like trying to show super speed, right?
it looked
Like,
better than the Flash,
yeah, like I mean, I think
and
that's
I'm
just because
talking the
Ezra.
movie, the
Yeah, I'm about to
Flash.
say that's just because I don't think Ezra Miller knows how to run. I don't think he's ever ran a day in his life. Um, but like even in like Captain America, the running looked a little weird. And I
Yeah,
mean, again, these are movies that came out, like what, 10 years ago? Like I think Civil War almost got it that where it didn't look weird, but at the same time, it still kind of looked weird.
Yeah, it's again, it's
I
just the jankiness where it's like you either speed it up or
But they
you have
did
to do
it
something to
practically, which is weird. Like when I first was watching the scene, I really thought the train was a miniature, right? And he was just like they maybe just like just did some camera work and
combine
made it,
them.
and he's like running next to a miniature or something. But apparently they suspended him from like a harness, like an overhead crane or something like that, and he was really running it, but his feet wasn't really touching the ground. So it was still technically practically done.
And then they just sped him
Yeah.
up
I don't think they
because I
did
mean,
anything. Well,
I don't know.
I
It's
think he was on a rig with like a truck or something. If that, you know what I
okay.
mean? Yeah.
They had to have sped
Let
something
me
up
see.
though, because
I
it looked
wrote
janky. Like it looked
well, yes, that's what I
like
thought the train was a miniature. I mean, maybe that part of the train was a miniature. I don't know. But I think I wrote something. No, I didn't. I just remember I did read. So apparently in the Donner cut or whatever, because I watched it on HBO Max.
yeah,
But apparently
same.
there's another version where I think the Donner cut where the little girl in the train that says, "Hey, I just saw a man running outside." You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently that little girl, they call her the family. That's Lois.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And I
But
have
I'm just
seen that, and I thought it was
okay.
crazy.
No, and I'm just like, no, that's not Lois because that girl's like 6, and then from this moment, it only goes 12 years, right? So she would be 18 at the start of the Daily Planet. Nah,
Yeah.
I was like, nah. I mean, even if she was like 8 years old, I don't know. I was just like, that was a little too much. I'm trying to like tie things in. I'm kind of
Yeah.
glad that wasn't in the final. Like, I know that's Richard Donner's cut, so you always want to go by kind of like the director cut on what is or is not canon, but I think that's a little weird.
Yeah, it's a little out there because
Yeah,
I even remember that too. Like the first time I had saw it, I was like, "Yeah, hasn't it always been Lois on the train? Yeah, it's supposed to be Lois."
yeah,
But again, like you said, it does take it out of it because then that's when you start doing math and you're like, "Wait a minute."
yeah,
But yeah, and I will say this: when he finishes the run and he's there outside the house. Oh, dude, a real sky, a real farm.
yep,
Oh, real locations. Oh,
yep,
say it ain't so, man. But this scene, dude, this scene right here where he has the conversation with Jonathan,
yeah,
and he's just angry. He's like, I just want to tear them apart. I know I shouldn't. It's that conflict where he's like, I'm angry, like there's something, like he's 2 seconds away from Brightburn, but but he's like, but he's still like, I know I shouldn't though. And you could tell that that's because that's how he was raised. He was
yeah,
raised with good intentions
yeah.
and good
Morals.
values. Yes, good morals. And like I said, I love the talk with Jonathan because you can hear that struggle of him wanting to fit in and belong so badly, and then that despair in his voice, like he's frustrated but on the verge of tears.
Yeah,
And he's just telling him, they're just having a talk, father son talk, and it ends with thanks dad. It's like, hey, come on, I'll race you to it. And then just watching them both run, it's like a father and a son. Like
yep,
it's anything you would want with your with your dad. And dude, the Glenn Ford heart attack, just the
yeah,
whole, like, just his whole thing, and then the oh no, like,
yeah.
oh,
He knew.
oh, that got my heart, dude.
Yeah, so
He's just
he
like,
knew.
yeah. And
Yeah,
that scene is sad.
he just
That scene,
collapsed right there. Like,
eh,
nowhere like whatever. It's just right there, like kind of like in the dirt, just gone.
yeah. And I love that it's wide shots too with
Yeah,
everything. Like it's not, like dramatic, like oh CPR and this and that, and then we're just like carrying the scene out. It's like no. So
yeah,
we do this, and then we immediately cut to the rolling hills and the little valley, and then it cuts to the cemetery. But it
yeah.
looks so beautiful. Like it looks so good, dude.
And
So freaking good.
there's like 8 people buried in that cemetery too.
Yeah, yeah, a small town cemetery, dude.
Right?
And dude, his line, all those things I can do, all those powers,
Yeah,
and I couldn't even save him. It's like, oh,
yeah. But
but
again,
that,
it's like foreshadowing for a little bit later too.
yeah, and the wide shot of them walking out of the cemetery with the sky, and then like you said, the addition of the music.
Yep.
It looks and it sounds so good. It's like a conclusion of it, but it's like mournful at the same time. And then when this is when he discovers the crystal.
Yeah.
Um and the way that it plays, it's almost like a horror movie.
Yeah. Because I
Like the
mean,
music,
it's green, right? So it's like
yeah.
you're thinking it's like, oh, it's kryptonite, but it's not because it's even glowing.
Yeah. And then, from there we get the shot immediately after with the sun behind the clouds
Dude, such a
overlooking the
yeah.
farm.
I
Yeah,
mean,
like
that's the one I wanted to touch up on too. Like, it was such just a great shot, and then like you get, and again, this is where the music comes back, right? And this is the other Star Wars. It sounds almost like the Force theme when Luke goes up and looks at the binary suns on Tatooine.
yes.
That this scene reminds me of that because then you get Martha walking up, but I also made a note where it's like this is this scene right here where Martha's walking up and it's like the tall grass, Clark is standing out, and I'm like, Snyder ripped this. Like in
Oh, yeah.
like Snyder saw this, he's like, I got you.
I got you, and I'm gonna make
Yeah,
it so much worse.
yeah. There's gonna be slow motion. We're not gonna look at the sky, we're gonna look at the grass.
Even the grass won't be real. None of this will be real.
Yeah,
But
I
dude, that
love that whole like the pan down, like whatever. It was so good.
the sweeping shot,
Just
dude, and then
yeah,
the John Williams score giving us closure, but it's
yeah,
also like a call to adventure at the same
yep.
time. Like it's such
Which
an
again,
awesome
it's the
scene.
like I was like this whole act was giving me like Star Wars. This because they like you have a tragedy happens, but it's still like it's you bring closure to Luke on Tatooine with his aunt and uncle dying, but then it opens it up like nope, he's going to space. He's going on this like hero's journey, and the same thing with this movie.
Yeah. It's like I said, the call to adventure.
Yeah,
Call and it's getting answered. And then
yeah,
this is when we head north. I think the set looks great. As far as when he's in the north traveling. Um, and the Fortress of Solitude looks cool when it's being
yeah.
formed. Like I think that looks pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think tradition. So I think the first iteration of Superman, because Superman wasn't the first character to have the Fortress of Solitude. It was another character, and they kind of repurposed it. But the first one that I think his Superman's little hideout was like a mountain that he like punched like outside of Metropolis. So that was like his little thing. I don't think it became this like large crystalline fortress until like I think this movie started it. I think.
okay.
I don't yeah, I'm not sure. But it's just like Krypton was always like a retro futuristic like city. It wasn't like a large vast like ice skate made out of like crystals. It was always
Yeah.
shown like a like kind of like Tomorrowland.
Oh yeah. Oh,
So, yeah.
underrated movie.
Yeah.
Underrated
But
movie.
just think of something like that, like think of like what like those retro futurist artists did like back in like the 50s and 60s when they're like what they think the future is going to be like. That's kind of like what Krypton was.
Yeah. No,
So
I
this
agree.
movie pioneered some of the mythos for the character, and it really did get like brought into the comics like in the 80s.
Yeah. And
But
this is also when we're getting Jor-El. We get him
yep,
again,
get him back.
coming in planet
Just
Krypton.
Krypton.
And this is when he's like, okay, We're gonna spend the next 12 years training in this
Training.
fortress, dude.
So he had 3 years on a space journey listening to his dad's voice. Now he gets 12 years with a floating head.
And by the end of it, now he's 30. Enter Christopher Reeve, dude.
Yeah. And by
The best to
logic,
do it, man.
Lois Lane is like 18 max.
Yeah. If we're gonna go based off of director's cut logic.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, Chris Reeve, man.
I think he's
Chris.
great. Like he plays that duality of like this bumbling, stumbling, stuttering kind of unsure, no like um what's the word I'm looking for? Like he has just
Well,
like
yeah,
I don't want to
let's
say
talk about.
nerd, but like
No,
um
it's he's very feeble, very
yeah,
let's talk about Clark Kent. So we enter, he gets into town, he gets to the Daily Planet, and the first thing I like that he's acting like he can't open the bottle. He's
yeah,
just like he's a weakling. He's like, "Oh, and then he sprays it all over himself too, like very klutzy and meek. And
yeah.
then getting hit by the door, even the way he talks, but dude, it's the hunch,
It's the hunch.
the
Yeah.
hunch that he has where he's just like, oh yeah, Lois, oh, ooh. And he talks with that voice like this. And I'll say something now, and eventually we'll talk about it, but I feel like I want to say it now just to get it out there. Just from the only trailer that I've seen regarding the new Superman, I am not convinced that it can be pulled off. And I don't think we're gonna see that in
Yeah.
this. I hope I am proved wrong on that, because
Yeah.
this is my definition of Clark Kent. This is my definition of Superman.
Yeah. I
Aside from,
think
of course, Justice League, because and when I say Justice League, I mean the animated
yeah,
series,
yeah.
Justice League and Justice League Unlimited,
Like
because they do a great job showing us that.
yeah, I think Brandon Routh kind of captured it a little bit. I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen it. I remember
Yeah.
him being like a bumbling, like whatever. But I mean, I'll we'll get there eventually. But I remember that was kind of one of the things they wanted to capture with that. I don't really remember Henry Cavill. I mean, come on, it's Henry Cavill,
All he did was put
bro.
glasses on. That's
Yeah,
all he did in Man of
like my
Steel.
man's like a sculptured Greek god over here. Like, I'm sorry, like
Yeah, it's like you can't hide that.
yeah. I mean, talk about like what was the line from Winter's like specimen?
Yeah.
Like, no, bro, no. Uh, yeah, I mean, I think I've only seen just that one trailer for the new Superman. So, I mean, and there's no
Yeah.
dialogue in it, or outside of like, there's no like conversing, right? So
Yeah.
I mean,
They lost me on the broccoli hair, dude. The broccoli hair is what lost me. I don't
it is a
need the
little
Edgar,
weird.
dude.
It
I
is a
don't
little
need that.
weird. Yeah, but I mean, I'm hoping. I mean, I mean, I don't mind the suit. I know people are. I think people just want to complain because it's not Snyder and Henry Cavill. Which, all right, cool. I like Henry Cavill too.
Yeah.
He was a good Superman. I mean, look, he was a good Superman. I
Yeah.
don't think he could pull off the Clark just because. I mean, dude's just top to bottom, like probably
Because
top
there is no
five.
Clark. There is no
Like,
Clark in those movies.
yeah, there isn't.
There
Yeah,
is
I
no
don't think he
Clark.
was given a
It's
chance
just,
to play Clark.
yeah, because his identity's already like revealed
Yeah,
who he is, and he never has
yeah,
an alter ego
yeah,
in that movie. Even when he has the alter ego, he doesn't have it. And
yeah,
here it's like, no, there are two characters in
yep,
this movie. Perfect example, the alley mugging scene.
yeah.
Where it's like, hey, down here. And
So
like he's just, oh
dude,
Los, I think we should do it. I think we should do what he says. And then he's like,
yeah,
moving the gun with his finger like that, just like that little thing, like that, like, oh no, sir, you don't want, like, all timid and
yeah,
just worried. And then the bullet catch, it looks so good.
yeah.
And then he's just
And
like, hey, golly, I guess I must have fainted. like,
and
like
she's
he's
like
just,
fainted, like so
mhm.
disappointed.
Dude, his smirk, I love his smirk where he's just like, it's almost
Yeah.
like he wants to look at the camera and go,
Right. Just break the
Then I
fourth
like that
wall.
he just yeah, and I like that he's just like he just drops it in like nothing. It's you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that is why I love this movie is because it perfectly encapsulates and sets up the alter ego is that I need this alter ego to, live amongst them. But I do have Superman who is
Yeah.
who I truly am. Like we talk with about Spider-Man and Peter Parker or Batman and Bruce Wayne,
Yeah.
it's the alter egos and which one is which
Yeah.
truly. But yeah, this is when we cut into Otis, dude. His music, Otis's music. I like when he's at the stand and the dog starts barking at him when he tries to steal the pretzel, and the guy's talking to the dog. He's like, "How many did he take?" Speaking of miniatures and speaking of trains, I cannot tell with this subway scene if the train was a miniature or not.
I couldn't either.
Like it's
I,
just,
I wouldn't be surprised either way.
but again, a
Yeah.
testament to how good it looks. Um, Alexa's first line. It's amazing that brain can generate enough power to keep those legs moving. Dude, and Luther killing the detective illustrates his evil. A villain, an evil villain. None of this whole, redemption story. Oh,
Nah.
anti-hero. Oh, misunderstood. Like, no, this guy is evil.
Yeah.
He is a bad guy. Villain.
I will say though, he came off as like a in my like there is no redeeming him, right? Which is fine. But like, man, I don't know if it was I think and it's nothing against Gene Hackman, but I think Luther was not they definitely leaned into the campiness of Luther.
Oh, yeah.
And you could tell like he was definitely a Bond villain in this one. Like, and we'll get like later on with his whole plot and how it all kind of comes together is just like, man, that just screams like golden age comic book writing.
Yeah, and it's also you also got to remember at this time this was being marketed towards kids,
Yeah,
towards, families and stuff like that. So they're going to have this, but they're not going to show it,
yeah,
which
but
is a big
it's
thing. So I think like showing that detective being killed and you see him get run
yeah,
down by
yeah,
the
yeah.
train
They
and
pushed.
then
I
they
mean,
even
I
pick up the
the
hat
rating
and it has the
system
train.
was way different, right? The rating
Yeah.
system was way different. This is rated PG. Just to let y'all know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a hard PG.
Yeah, but again, the
Hard
rating
PG.
system was vastly different.
And this whole scene just I love that it illustrates, him with his, hench people,
Yeah,
especially with Otis. And he has that line, he's like, why is the most brilliant diabolical leader of our time surrounding himself with total nincompoops? I'm back, Mr. Luther. Yes, I was just talking about you.
See, and that right there, it tells you what age they ripped the script from. Nincompoop.
Mm-hmm. And then he says, you were followed again, and just like the turning and dropping of the lamp, and how he picks it up just to like save face.
Yeah,
Just like those little things like that. Like it's just I like how it illustrates them that they're just constantly they're basically foreshadowing that they're gonna lose. Like he's just
yeah,
with the people he surrounds himself with. It's like he does it to boost himself up as, oh, I'm the smart, individual, greatest mastermind of all time and all this stuff, but then you see who he surrounds himself with and it's just like
yeah,
but yeah, it cuts back to the Daily Planet. Dude, the elevator scene is so cringy. It's so cringy, but it's so good. Just watching him, oh hey, oh. Like when the elevator they're going down, the guy going up, going
going
up.
up.
Like reaching out and like hitting the door. And he's just like, oh.
Yeah,
And then this is when we get the helicopter scene.
yeah,
So did the pilot just pass out or did he get
yeah.
knocked out?
I think he got knocked out. I think when it was like doing this thing, I think he kind of like knocked himself out.
He's like, huh?
Yeah.
But dude, it looks so good.
Yeah. This is where we get the reveal of, Superman, right? Does the whole yep, and then he kind of goes towards like the phone booth. Like we got kind of got misled there because that's how he
Dude.
traditionally transforms into a suit, but nope, it's not a full blown phone booth. It's like a half booth in it, and then I think he does the revolving door, right? I think right there.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
and
goes
then
through the turnstile to change.
like some
And
pimp he starts talking to him about his suit or whatever.
yeah, he just flies off.
Yeah.
And then this is when Lois is falling. She's in the copter. And then, he's like, I've got you. You've got me. Who's got you? Like, just those little lines, dude. And we didn't really talk too much about Lois, but yeah, just her introduction about, like, she's working on the story and whatnot. And you get a feel of who she is, like how quick she is too. And I like the little
Can't
scene.
spell.
Yeah, she cannot spell to save her life. Um, and I like when Clark is initially talking with Perry White about his check, and he's like, "Oh, is it possible for half my check, to get sent here to Kansas?" And she makes that comment about, "Oh, is it his gray-haired mom?" And he says, "Oh, silver-haired," or something like that.
Yeah,
But that look that she gives is like, she's like, "Oh,"
yeah.
like she's
She makes.
intrigued
I
by
don't know if it was right there, but I know she makes a comment. She was like, "Do they make any more of you back home?" And he was like, "No," or something like that. Like because
yeah,
he has it's Krypton,
yeah, Krypton.
Krypton.
But yeah, so to cut back to the helicopter, him dude lifting the copter with one hand, and I like, statistically speaking, it's still the safest way to
Safest way
travel.
to travel. Yeah.
Yeah, cut to recent times with all the plane crashes. And dude, I love his little wave and the bye as he
Bye.
takes off. Like, it's just like a casual bye, and then
Yeah.
the this is when we get the flight. This is when we get him flying.
Yep.
And I never realized it until watching it this time how the camera rolls with him,
Yeah.
and it looks good, dude. It still looks good. And then this is when we just get a montage of helping people.
Yeah.
We get the original Burj Khalifa climb. The first one to do it.
Right. Just with actual suction cups.
Yeah, and I like his line. They say confession's good for the soul. I'd listen to this man.
Yep.
Dude, my favorite scene still to this day will always be the girl with the cat in the tree. Cause growing up, that was just a scene that would always make us laugh because we'd be like, "Oh, our childhood." Like, how many times haven't I told you to stop telling lies, and just the slap? I'm like, oh, poor girl. But yeah, dude, it
Different
still
times,
makes me
people.
laugh.
Different times. You can spank your
Yes.
children.
Mm-hmm. Was one of them.
Yep. Same.
And we get that, we get the boat scene, we get Air Force One coming down, just a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And then it cuts cuts back to Luther, and this is when he's talking about is when they're talking about the kryptonite.
No, because they have don't they have the interview first?
Oh, no, 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 this is the swimming scene.
Yeah.
This is,
With the
yes, this
with the
is when they're
bathrobe. He's like,
swimming.
wait till you I'm out of the thing for you to give me my bathrobe.
He's like, he
I think
has
this is where they're talking about like his plot or whatever. I don't know.
yes, he has a line in there. He says, "Not on your life, Otis," which I would gladly sacrifice. Just the constant like threat of killing. And this is when it cuts back to the Daily Bugle, and then Lois gets the letter about, like, oh, dinner with the dinner tonight, a friend.
Yeah.
And this is when Perry White's talking to them, and he's like, saying like all these other newspapers are saying this and this about Superman. Well, what about us? You know, what's this? What's this? And his line about this being the single most important interview since God talked to Moses.
That was a fun one. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah. And then he's like pulling up the cigar, and the guy's just lighting it up for him right there. And then this is when we cut to the Lois and Clark interview.
Yep.
Dude, Margot Kidder's gorgeous.
Yeah.
She's beautiful in this movie, especially in this scene. And I love again, I love how she portrays Lois. It's like she's strong and but at the same time she's also like she's very neurotic. Like she's in her head and stuff like that, and just like I don't know how to describe her,
I mean,
but
she was
it's
definitely in this whole interview, like she definitely wanted him.
oh
What was
yeah,
the
I mean, dude,
Yeah, yeah.
I got some of those lines right here.
Oh yeah,
Let's start with your vital statistics. Are you married?
yeah.
And how big are you? How tall are
Exactly.
you?
Yeah, she wanted that.
The rest of your bodily functions are normal.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you eat?
And like why would she even ask him like about the x-ray vision? Well, what kind of underwear am I wearing? Like that's what you go with?
He's like, oh, well, I guess I can't see. The planner must be
Yeah,
made
yeah.
out of lead.
Yeah.
And then they're just talking, and then she moves while she's writing. He's like, pink.
Pink. Like, oh, I like pink very much.
Yeah, she's like, do you like pink? Just the flirting, like the
Yeah.
back and forth. It's so it feels so natural. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel, you know what I mean? Like it just feels like it's that chemistry between the two of them just played off so well. And I like what she asked him. So, what's your thing? And he's like, I'm here to fight for truth, justice, and the American way. And
Yeah.
that sums up who he is. That's what Superman is. Superman is a beacon of hope. Superman is always on the side of good and the side of what's right.
Yeah.
And that's something that I feel is lost on future installments that we'll go over. Like it's just so
Yeah.
nihilistic and just negative, and you know
Dark.
yeah, it's like the world sucks, this is what it
Yeah.
is. And it's like, there's no hope, there's no optimism, which again, this is something that's been said and promoted with this new one.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know, because I don't feel like we've seen that just from
Yeah.
that first initial teaser trailer. But again, I haven't watched anything else, so I don't know if that's changed. And that's
Yeah.
how I'm keeping it. Like, I don't want to see anything else. I want to go in knowing as little as possible about this movie and just seeing what happens from there. But this is when we get the flight scene, which I think is really good. And again, you talk about score, like this score, like setting up the romance, like it's just, again, very very Indiana Jones,
Yeah.
very Raiders.
I'm kind of curious if this whole sequence like was an inspiration to Aladdin's the Aladdin the whole a whole new world sequence because
I could see it.
I heard that it was actually supposed like Lois instead of doing a voiceover she was actually supposed to be singing. I'm glad she
Oh,
didn't.
I wouldn't
I'm
have
glad
wanted
they didn't.
that.
I'm glad they
No.
didn't go that route. Even the voiceover was a little, in my opinion, kind of a. It was like it was not neat. I mean, it was fine. I don't think
Yeah.
a lot of it was needed, but yeah, I was just like, I'm watching this. I'm just like, just two people flying over a city, and I'm just like, I wonder if Aladdin ripped this
At
and
least
actually did the
inspired.
musical number. Yeah,
Yeah, at the very least. And I like the whole thing about like how he's slowly letting her go to where and then he just holds her like that by the
yeah.
fingertips, and it shows you how strong he is, but also dang, what happens if he rips that finger off?
Right.
But
So the physics here is not making sense either. Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But we'll just suspend disbelief here a little bit.
Yeah, and you have to, because again, it's supposed to be a romantic scene. It's supposed to be
Yeah,
like, that's what falling in love feels like, flying through the air and feeling weightless. And I like when she gets back and the scene ends and she's like, what is Superman? Superman. She said
She said it.
it. And this is what I love that it's like really fast. It's like Clark comes in. He's like, I've been knocking at the door, this whole time. And I like he asked her, Lois, have you been drinking? And then dude, probably I've seen this cut on YouTube so many times. This scene has been analyzed so much, but just the him waiting for her, where he takes the glasses off and he's just like,
Yeah. You see the
and then
transformation, right?
he changes his stance, like his shoulders go back. Yeah, the
The
transformation,
voice
and then
gets deeper, confident.
but I like that he looks and then he's like, he looks down at the glasses, sort of like he's like, no, like I
Yeah.
don't want to have to, but I need to. Then he's like, Lois, I, I just want to say, like, just a little change, like back into Clark, real quick. And again, we get that little smirk right at the end when he's just like, again, these little things.
Yeah.
They're characters. They are characters. They are living, breathing characters.
Yeah.
Fast forward, Luther finds out about Superman's weakness with the kryptonite and seeing through lead.
Which was kind of I don't they kind of got that. I mean, I understand they had to get there, but it was kind of weird just that whole exposition of him figuring out radio. Like, oh well, if this could be radioactive, this might be harmful to him. Like, it was kind of a. I don't want to I don't want to call it like a, a Deus Ex Machina like kind of writing trope to just get all right. Luther needs this, so we're gonna just half explain how he comes to this conclusion. But I definitely think it was a little bit weak right there, like just from a writing standpoint.
Yeah, and I think the way that they explained it away was with another line that Luther has. He's like, "Do you know what the difference between me and you is, Otis, with the number 200?" And he tells him, he's like, "It's my IQ versus your weight,"
Yeah,
or something like that. So I think that's how they try to explain it away, is that he's super intelligent and all this stuff that he would think of doing that, because then it turns into like a science lesson for like five
yeah.
minutes in the movie, which already has a runtime of 2.5 hours,
Yes,
close to, which doesn't feel like it.
it honestly doesn't.
Like I
I
don't
will
think it
say that
does.
the last like maybe 30 minutes kind of drags a little bit. But I mean, up until this point, like the movie was flowing pretty well, like in terms of pacing. And I feel like I do feel like the last act, the pacing got sped up. I mean, it's 2.5 hours movie, right? Because
Yeah.
I don't know if it cuts from this part to them now. Is it now going into like Luther trying to secure the nuclear warheads or something?
Yes, so this is where
And
the missile hijacking comes
and
in.
it,
Dude, that car crash looks so good.
I'm sure it was really done though.
Oh, it was. Yeah, you
Yeah,
can tell it was done. Like, and then we have to talk about this scene. We
That's
have to.
it's so like Looney Tunes, like just the whole thing of like, man, again, like they went for the full campiness with Lex Luthor, like full Looney
Yeah.
Tune Bond villain. Like I don't necessarily know if it's a good thing, but again, I mean, I know this was marketed towards kids,
Yeah.
so you can't have them go full on like Heath Ledger Joker, right, or something like that. But
Yeah.
like I will say that they pretty much this iteration of the Luther character would have fit right in with a 1966 Batman series in terms
Oh
of
yes.
campiness. Terms of campiness.
Yes. Minus the lines about killing people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I have to mention this scene because, again, this is not a scene that would fly today.
The
For
CPR.
the CS, when the soldiers see Miss Tessmacher.
Miss Tessmacher.
Oh, dude, the amount of times he yells Miss Tessmacher throughout
Yeah.
this whole movie. I love when they ask him, what should we do, sir? He's like, vigorous chest massage, and if that doesn't work, mouth to
Mouth to
mouth.
mouth.
Yes, sir. He's like, Sergeant, I won't have one of
I'm
my men doing anything I wouldn't be prepared to do myself. But sir, get an ambulance. All right, men, gather round, and then proceeds to have them
about
turn
face.
around. About face. And then Otis is doing his thing, and I love that he's holding just like a little tree branch to like
Yeah.
hide himself. And he goes in with the numbers that are written like way too big on his arm. And
Of
then when he
course, he
finally,
messes it up. He messes
yeah,
it up because
Otis, would you like to see a long arm? Would you like to see a very, very long arm? I love his whimper, like, no, no, Mr. Luther, no. Dude, freaking Ned Beatty, dude. I love how he goes from playing this to Lotso. Oh yeah, and yeah. Spoiler alert and plot twist for those of you that don't know this. Robert has never seen Toy Story 3.
Nope. Or 4.
It's okay, I haven't seen 4 either. We're in the same boat on that. I don't know if I ever will. I've seen the ending like 16 times, but never seen the whole movie. But yeah, check it out, Robert. But yeah, so they get that, everything's good, and then this is when we get this is when we're setting up the end of the movie. We got Jimmy at the dam,
Yep.
or Jimmy Olsen at the dam. We got Lois driving in the desert. We have Clark at the Daily Planet, and he's hearing the news about how both rockets are going to be launching simultaneously, one by the Army and one by the Navy. And this is when Perry White says that Lois was sent out to look into a land fraud deal. So he had sent Olsen with her on his first assignment. Some unidentified clown out there is buying up thousands of acres of worthless desert at incredible prices. And then this is when we also find out that the museum was broken into in what is it, Addis Ababa?
Yeah. Was this some African country or I don't know if
Yeah.
it's
Addis Ababa, I believe, is how they
something.
pronounced
Yeah.
it. And he says that had a museum broken into with 2 people being killed for a worthless piece of meteorite. So again, this is
Yeah.
establishing your villain. He is not above killing people.
Yeah.
And this is when we get the high pitch frequency, which I
Yeah.
thought was a little annoying at first. Like it did hurt my ears.
Honestly,
Um,
I was watching it on this setup because I was working on other stuff, and then when it went off, I was like, man, I literally thought like the fire alarm in my house or something was going off.
yeah, dude, like it's really, really present.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you're not expecting it, like which I wasn't because I hadn't seen this movie in a while. It definitely took me by surprise. I was like, oh crap. And then of course you see the movie going. I was like, okay, because then this is like Luther's message about the 2 rockets. Like his plan is to bomb the San Andreas Fault, so that portion of California would sink into the ocean. And then, of course, all the land that he's been buying has been on the other side of the fault. So he would have all that real estate that he can like sell off and garner another fortune, which again, very Bond like,
Hmm.
and I think they had a writer that was uncredited that wrote on like 4 Bond movies before this.
Oh,
So I'm like,
really?
you can, I don't know. I wrote his name down. Tom Mankiewicz.
Oh, Tom Mankiewicz.
Yeah, he wrote Diamonds Are Forever, Live and Let Die, and The Man with the Golden Gun.
Oh, he was
So you
uncredited.
can, and I'm pretty sure he was brought in just to do the Luther, Luther stuff. Like I'm
I could see that.
Very Bond. Because I mean, I even if you bomb the San Andreas Fault, I don't think that's how it works. Like like that portion of California. Because I mean the way that it goes. I think it goes up, so it wouldn't just sink. The plate would just. I don't know. I don't know how that would work, but I don't know. But it was very odd. I mean, it's what it's like again. It's a very campy thing for its time.
Yeah. It's of its time.
Yeah.
Key phrase, of its time. Which, speaking of, I like when they discuss the map when Otis is
Yeah.
carrying, the map and he lays it down. See, Otisburg.
Otisburg.
Otisburg. And I love how it's written too. Like I think one of the letters is backwards.
Yeah.
And then I don't
Well,
know if
everybody
you
else got
noticed.
land.
I don't know if you. Yeah. Speaking of, I don't know if you noticed the North. Did you read what it said?
I don't think I missed that one.
It said Tessmacher Peaks, and
Of
it's
course it does.
two peaks.
Of course it does.
Yeah, and like you said, with the missile, one's gonna be going to the fault, and then another's going to Hackensack, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Um, and during the scene, we also have footage from the military trying to stop the rockets. We also get a John Ratzenberger cameo, which I completely forgot he was in this movie. And I don't know if you noticed this. If you look at Texas on the map, when they're showing it, it's even bigger than normal. Which, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. I don't need another 7 hours trying to get out of
Nah.
state.
Nah, we're good.
But yeah, dude, it almost looks like it absorbs Oklahoma, at least from that. And I thought, you know what? It makes sense. Like
Well,
if since
that's
this is
North
comic
Texas.
book, you know
Yeah,
what I
that's
mean?
North Texas. Yeah.
Yeah, dear God. And this is when we get the kryptonite scene. So
Yeah.
Superman has it chained to him, thrown in the pool, and this is when Miss Tessmacher's mother's revealed to live in Hackensack, and Lex just shakes his head like,
Yeah.
like
Well.
no, like not anymore. She
Yeah.
does. And she rescues Superman on the stipulation that he saves her mother first. And I love that she kisses him before she rescues him.
Yeah.
And then he asks her, why did you
Why?
kiss me first? And she's like, I didn't think you'd let me do it later. And just that little smile, dude. It's again, smile. He's got charisma.
Yeah.
He's got charisma. He's got the charm. Like he laughs at something like that. Like that is Superman to me. That is who
Also,
Superman has always been to me.
probably his first kiss. My man's been away for 12 years.
Ooh, you right. Cause him and Lois didn't kiss.
Nah.
Oh dang! I didn't even think about that.
I mean, unless he got some in a little bit of something in high school, but
Yeah.
I mean, he had a thing for Lana, and she was probably dating that jock, so
Hmm.
definitely didn't give him the time of day. So yeah, it's probably his first kiss.
Yeah. And speaking of, Superman, saving the mother first.
Yep, because
Turns
he can't
out,
lie.
Miss Tessmacher's mother's name is also Martha.
Oh, oh, was that actually true?
No.
Oh man, I would have been like, bro, I would have been like, yes, let's make everyone Martha. That'd be
Martha
great though.
Manhunter.
Yep.
But yeah, so she rescues him. He escapes, and by doing so, he launches the missile
Yeah.
that's going towards Hackensack into space. But in doing so, the other rocket hits the fault, and then we see a series of events occurring while the earthquake hits. Bus
Yep.
on the bridge, train almost derailing, Jimmy hanging on a dam, which, dude, get out of there.
Yeah.
A town in a valley at the bottom of the dam, and Lois getting trapped. And probably the cheesiest part of the movie is him, dropping to the bottom of the fault line.
Yeah.
And
Lifting the
just like
whole
how it looks, he's just like,
yeah,
it's like,
and lifting the whole like the plate. Like I don't
yeah, just like,
know. Like I'm
and I
not
love that it
doubting
just
that he has the
reverses the
strength.
footage. It's
Yeah.
just,
Like that's not gonna fix the fact that it's just gonna sink right back down.
exactly.
It's not gonna
So,
magically just heal itself.
yeah, and by doing so, like you said, somehow it does, and it
Yeah.
stops the quakes. So it allows him to save the bus. He acts as part of the railing for the train. He rescues Jimmy and uses the cliffs to stop the water. However, he is not in time to save Lois.
Yep.
She's buried alive, and the pressure crushes her. And you can see it in her face when she's crushed. She's like,
Yep.
like that. Like she makes this face. Dude, Chris Reeve in this scene, dude. He does so much to convey despair, disappointment, and failure, all with his face and his body language
Yeah.
in the scene. I have not seen that in a movie since. Like it's just like that. Like even like with his breathing, like you can hear it. Like it's just like it's acting.
Yeah.
And when he does it, that repeating no, dude, when he's like no,
Yeah.
no,
We get the
I
we
like
get
that
the
scream.
superhero scream or whatever the
Oh, dude. Oh, it sounds so good too.
yeah.
Sounds so good. And then we get Jor-El doing his best Mufasa, telling him not to interfere. Um,
This is where the
but
meme. This is where the meme comes in, right? With the no over your head, like when people are like, you don't get the joke or whatever, and it's just like joke, and you see Superman like. Have you ever seen that?
no,
Have you ever seen that meme?
I've never seen that
Where
meme.
it's like
If you,
someone makes a joke, and like someone comments it like because they didn't get the joke, someone will reply with that, and it's like the joke going over your head,
yeah.
and it's like the joke is like flying, and you see like Superman like, huh, huh, huh.
No,
And
I've
you've never
never
seen
seen that. I've
that?
never seen that meme, dude.
Yeah.
Please send it to me. But speaking of flying over the head, this is when we get him flying into space, and he's
Yeah.
reversing time by flying around the planet by changing the rotation of the Earth, undoing
Yeah.
her death, and everything else. And then I like that we see him rotate it back to normal as well, just to be like, okay, that's good enough right there. And this is when we get a moment with Lois and Superman. They're about to kiss, and of course, Jimmy Olsen has to show up.
Yeah.
Superman leaves, and then that's when Jimmy makes a comment about Clark not being there, and Lois, she has that thought that Clark's never around when Superman is there, but she just shrugs it off. And this is when we get the cut to the prison yard, and Superman delivers Lex and Otis, and then Lex finally removes his hairpiece, revealing his
Yeah.
shaved head, which again, done better in this than it was done in Batman versus Superman.
Oh God.
And then we
Oh
get
no.
yep. And then we get the shot of the sun raising past the earth and Superman ascending from earth and flying around the earth towards it. And dude, just end credits.
Yeah.
Like
But
that's
again,
it.
like I would say like the last act, like this last 30 minutes happens like so quick.
It
Like
does.
the pacing for like the first two-thirds, I don't really know the times, but it's like so well paced, and then this last act just hits you. Like it's just like nonstop.
Yeah. And it's not I think it's cuz we're so used to modern movies where it's so drawn out and the stakes
Yeah.
have to be so high, which to say the stakes are pretty high in this movie, but they're not portrayed or painted
Yeah.
that way because of how it's illustrated.
Yeah.
But overall, now we've made it to the end, what do you give this movie out of 10?
Yeah, I will. I mean, so yeah, like you said, the stakes. There are stakes in this film, but again, you know from the opening, like Superman's gonna succeed, right? I mean, just know in like the movie has to end with hope. Like
Yeah.
nowadays, we watch a movie, the hero might win, right? Like if we watch a Marvel movie now, but at the same time, is there gonna be a loss, right? Like, or how are they gonna win?
Yeah.
Sometimes I do feel like there should be more stakes in some of the Marvel movies, and then some are just like whatever. It doesn't matter. But I will say, like for the reversing the Earth, that's silly. Uh, um, I watched a video because the I think it was the Nerdist or whatever. They explained it using math. Like I'm good at math, but when it comes to like that far in advance, like it kind of literally Superman over my head.
where,
Um,
where you start talking about like quantum physics and stuff like
oh
that, where it
yeah,
gets
because
real fun.
they were like talking about like they measured like how fast Superman actually had to have been flying in that scene by how many times he went around the Earth and like however long, and they said it was like I wrote it down. Like we can link the that video in our description just to
Yes. Oh yeah.
but the speed of light in terms of miles per hour is 670,616 629 miles per hour. Superman, given the amount of times he went around the Earth in that time frame, was flying at 660 million, 100 million miles per hour. So just under the quote speed of light. And of course,
Which I
according
can
to
buy.
according to theoretical physics and all that stuff, you would, in order to time travel, again, theoretical, right? You would have to travel faster than the speed of light, which he was not. But again, if you stop the rotation of the Earth, everyone dies. Like all life on Earth is gone.
Yeah.
So it's just, again, victim of its time, I suppose. Just wanted to throw that out there because I'll probably link it and we'll put it in the video
No,
because
no, I think
that's,
you should. I think
yeah,
you
that's
should.
obviously not our people. Way smarter than me have done this. So but out of 10 against so I love everything about Clark and Superman. Some of the design choices are a little, like, I don't really care for how much Krypton is shown, but I mean that's just nitpicking, right? In terms of movie, like I said, the movie overall is paced well up until the end. It speeds up, which I don't think hinders the movie at all. I mean, I would have liked a little bit of time to breathe. Um, the score, fantastic. John Williams is always fantastic. I don't think he has a miss. Um, I will. I don't. I'm look. Gene Hackman was fine. I don't care for this version of Luther, but that's a personal. I think he just came off as like a Wile E. Coyote, Elmer Fudd type villain, in my opinion.
Yeah, I
So
could see that.
I think just the writing of Luther was probably the weakest part of the film. 'Cause, I'm used to the business tycoon type. Like, yeah, he's bent on world domination, but like from another,
You're used to the Jesse Eisenberg.
nah, like Smallville, Rosen, you know,
Oh, Michael, dude. Oh,
yeah, but not Jesse Eisen, nah, God no. I mean, even Kevin Spacey's a little over the top, but again, Superman Returns was supposed to be an extension of this franchise, right?
yeah, it's
Um,
supposed to be a sequel to 4.
God, ugh, I'm not looking forward to that. Out of 10, overall, I do enjoy this, and I think a lot of what we have now is obviously rooted in this, right? This is probably the godfather of superhero films.
Which, speaking of, I mean, you have Brando and Mario Puzo that did the story and the screenplay. So the
Yeah,
writer of The Godfather.
yeah, exactly. So there's by far a lot more to like than my nitpicks. So I'd probably slot it at like maybe an 8 out of 10.
Not
I wanted to
bad.
say maybe 7.5, but I think I don't think I could like actually go on, like
Yeah.
do the rest of these videos without. Mm, you know what? I'm going 7.5. I'm going 7.5.
7.5?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's fair.
That's fair.
That's
Yeah.
that's a fair assessment. So, thank you. Much appreciated. Um, I'm actually gonna give this one a 9 out of 10.
Nice.
Now, there's a reason for this. This is the one that started it all, man.
Oh yeah.
This is the one
Absolutely.
that this is the standard.
Yeah.
The standard. So we had, Batman the movie, which is great as well, and I'm talking Adam West, Burt Ward, you know, um,
Cesar Romero, I think, for the Joker.
was in that one, yeah. Because I've only seen the movie, I think maybe 2 or 3 times, but it's been a minute. But I mean, we did have that one, but this is the one, that
Yeah.
set the standard
This
for
is
what a
this is
superhero
the
movie is.
yeah.
And again, like I mentioned, the Batman the movie, it's great as well. That one camp galore.
Oh yeah.
But this movie has everything. This movie has great characters, a great story, amazing music, amazing actors, good pacing. The
Yep.
villain is a villain. The hero is a hero. And again, I miss Chris Reeve, dude.
Yeah.
I miss him. Like, he encapsulated Superman. Like, he
Yeah,
is my Superman. Um, he conveys hope, heroism, and emotion. And again, like I said earlier, his portrayal of both Superman and Clark is what makes the movie. And the
agreed.
fact that he crafted them both with differences, including the stance, is the hallmark of a great actor. Gene Hackman's amazing as the sarcastic and villainous Lex. I miss him as well. I still can't believe he passed in the way he did. Um, Speaking of, I'm gonna plug a movie. Check out the Birdcage for more Gene Hackman disguising um Margot Kidder again. Great as Lois Lane. She's awesome as Lois Lane. She portrays the right amount of humor and gusto for the character, and you buy the romance aspect between her and Superman. And I've said it throughout the entire video. I love the use of miniatures.
Hmm.
I love them. We didn't talk too much about the dam scene. You can really tell
Oh,
that miniatures are
100%.
used in that one. It,
100%.
it almost looked like Team America had ripped it off when it does the floating scene of the Panama Canal. I was waiting to see just a bunch of like dummies or puppets just floating in the river. But you know, to me what this movie is like for anyone who's never seen a superhero movie and wanted a recommendation of where to start, this is the one. This is what I would recommend. I've never seen a superhero movie. Watch the original Superman.
Yeah.
Superman the movie. So yeah, that's where I'm at with Superman.
Yeah. And I know this film means a lot to a lot of people. Like they hold this movie in such high regard. And again, for most people, I mean, this probably was their first foray into superhero movies. Mine was, Batman, right? The first Tim Burton.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but even then, I still think there's probably been better Batman movies since, right? Better, maybe, that's all debate. That's up for debate, on tops of who's your favorite. A lot of people will gravitate towards, the first one, like this movie, or I mean, if Man of Steel was your first Superman movie, then you might like that one more. But I mean, for sure, Chris Reeve is the gold standard on how Clark is and will ever be, measured up to, right? Clark and Superman.
Yeah.
Every actor playing Superman or Clark Kent to the end of whatever is always going to be measured up to Chris, to this one. And whether that's fair or not, I mean, it's just how it is. I mean, Tobey Maguire is going to be the gold standard for Spider-Man. If you think he's the best, that's your opinion. Others might not, but I do think this is a really good film. Like for almost start to finish, almost everything about it is, pretty solid. So I mean, you said what, 9 out of 10?
Yeah.
Totally, totally can agree to that.
Very nice. Very
Yeah,
nice. So aside from that, we are finished with that portion. Now
we get to
let's
rank
switch over to
it
the
or
tier
tier make it,
list.
tier make it.
All right. So, Robert, since this was your baby, you
Yeah, yeah. And I
created this
actually
tier
made this one.
list.
I actually made this
Yes.
one.
Thank you
I couldn't find
again.
a good one that I liked.
So, you have the good honors, my sir, of choosing first.
All right. Which one is it? It's this one. All right. So despite all that, and I know I gave it a 7.5, 8, or an 8. Just depends, whatever. I think I still want to rank it in the A tier. I
Nice.
know that's kind of like a little weird because maybe this is like, your like the S tier is probably like, your 9.5, and then A is maybe you're like your low A, but I think I still want to, because again, I think, yeah, this movie ranges for me for a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10. It could change probably tomorrow. Who knows? Let me watch. I mean, it could also change,
Yeah, because we're gonna
but
watch different versions of
yeah,
Superman, so this is gonna like we did on the Mission Impossible franchise, which definitely check that one out as well.
Yeah,
We ended up changing some stuff towards the end just
yeah,
because we felt like, after reevaluation,
yeah.
this was actually a lot better than this was.
Yeah.
So
And
I
I
mean,
will
I think
say,
it's a good
like,
starting point.
and I'm not even gonna lie, I don't remember what I out of 10, I don't remember what I ranked some of the Mission Impossible movies. I was
Yeah.
just kind of flying off the cuff. So, despite everything I just said, I'm changing this to an 8 out of 10, and it's going in the A tier. This stuff is more
Nice.
visual, so we're good. This is what people are gonna look at.
Very nice.
I'm gonna
Very
try and
nice.
keep track of this, but I'm going 8 out of 10.
I believe in you.
Yeah, I got a Google Doc and everything.
So for mine, I am gonna have to agree with you. A tier.
Nice.
This is an A tier level movie after everything I just said previously. I mean you set it up at the beginning, dude. The score.
Yeah.
The score
Scores an
is a
S tier.
character of this. Yes, the score is an S tier. The movie is an A tier, but again, you need that score, and it works so well with the movie and the characters, and without everything being conducted perfectly by John Williams and of course Richard Donner, I don't think we would get the final product of what we got, aside from the director's cut, which
Right.
Lois is Lois.
Yeah. Lois is 18.
But yeah, awesome. So yeah, I think that's gonna do it for our ranked Superman the movie.
Yep.
So aside from that, Robert, did you want to tell everyone about the other projects we have going on?
Yep. So as you can probably tell, we're doing the Superman series. So stay tuned for the future videos. We'll be doing Superman, 2, 3, 4 returns and Man of Steel. So be on the lookout for those. And if you're into these tier making slash ranked series, go check out our Mission Impossible series. We did all 8 of them. That was a lot of fun. We definitely went a lot. We went hard in the paint on those videos. But again, that was a franchise we held, near and dear to us. We also have a bunch of trailer reactions, and we have a lot more to come to on the channel. I mean, we have like close to 30 now. Depending on when this video goes live, it could be over 30. We got like a list to go through. Maybe one day we'll tell you why we like doing trailer reactions so much. We also got our Thunderbolts, Daredevil, Born Again coverage. So go check all of it out. Always get in the comments. We do want to interact with the community. That's why we do this.
Yes. Yes. And thank you so much, Robert, for bringing that up, and
Stole
thank
your
you as
thunder.
well. Yeah, no, no, appreciate it, man. Yeah, we like Robert always says we want to hear from you guys, so please get in on those comments, hit the likes, hit the subscribe. We'd really appreciate that because we want y'all to be getting notified about the other things we have coming up. We try to set notifications so that way you get, accuracy of when everything's gonna drop, and we also want to keep y'all informed about what we have coming down the pipeline because we're just getting started. There is a lot more coming your way, and we want y'all to be prepared for it. So stay tuned as always. Thank you, Robert, for everything as always, and thank y'all as well. We'll catch y'all on the next one.